Right. Okay, amazing. So what this training is about is remembering. And that might seem so simple, but I honestly, truly believe that it's the key in this day and age to really standing out and being unique in how you show up and be the expert, the visionary, the change maker in your business and also in your life. So the key is remembering. So the number one thing that I would do, and I'm kind of going back now to 2014. I always think of that year, which is the year that I had my son. And I think back to 2014, and that's the year when I really started to build a bridge from my part-time job to going full-time in my business. And I had always been dabbling. I'd always been an artist, an entrepreneur, releasing different, offering different services. My services prior to 2014 were mainly private lessons. And I had a lot of different products I created. I had a jewelry design business. And this is something that I just recently created this little pretty piece of jewelry just for fun, just to get back into my creativity and back into that remembering, which is what I'm excited to chat with you about today. So when I think back to the year 2014, I think about how did I start to show up and how did I start to build a bridge to my full-time six-figure business, which I have today. So back in 2014, and if you're watching live, just say hello or drop me like a little heart, drop me a little comment. It's always nice. Actually, it actually helps other members of the group to be able to find these lives and to be able to see them, because the way that the Facebook algorithm works, and I'll later be sharing this on YouTube. So if you're one of my YouTube subscribers, you can watch it there. But the way that it works is if people are engaging, it shows it to more people. And you might have noticed this with your own content. And I'll be talking about content a little bit in this training. So what I'm going to share is how I became the go-to expert in my niche and created a six-figure brand, all by following my soul purpose. So being a soul-led entrepreneur and a change maker, and specifically at the time in 2014, I became really, really interested in exploring sustainable fashion and natural dyes. So I consider myself a sustainable textile artist, okay? So the way that I fully began to embody that soul purpose is I basically started to take the intangible, the thoughts, right, and the ideas, and I started to transform them into something tangible. That means that when I had an idea, an inspired thought, or then I would later take inspired action. So a good example of like an inspired thought would be, wow, I really love these beautiful natural indigo designs that I'm seeing online. How can I learn more about this? How can I educate myself? And how can I become the expert in natural textiles and natural indigo? Now, this is like super aligned just with who I am as a person. Ever since I was a kid, I've been starting businesses. I even had a little bead business back in like, I think 5th grade, selling beaded bracelets. And I also wrote like petitions for my school to have things become more recyclable or like more sustainable. And I would have like all the kids in the entire school sign them, and then I would mail them off. I would put them in the mail and mail them off. So I've always been a change maker and a visionary. And I'm wondering if that resonates with you. Do you feel like you are a little bit of an out of the box thinker, or a person who does things a little bit differently than the norm, or the way that everybody else is going about doing things, and the different things that are even just accepted as the norm? So the first step is really remembering. And what I'm challenging you to do is to really remember who you are. And how do we get back to our soul, ourselves, so that we can listen to the inner guidance and we can follow our intuition? So what I did at the time is I started to follow those inspired thoughts and I put them into inspired actions, meaning that I took a few textile workshops. I started studying all the different natural textiles. I started following different artists and different writers that I really admired. Also at the time, there was only like one other really known indigo artist in Los Angeles. There really wasn't a ton others. So I actually went all the way in 2017 to Japan, to Kyoto, where I met master indigo dyers, and I started to learn from them. And I actually went to the Shibori Museum, which is in a different village, and I learned all about Shibori. And then I went to the design houses and the fashion houses. So I really let my passion be the guide. I followed my passion. I followed what I really wanted to do. Now, at first, I was doing this a little bit part-time, and later, because of the workshops that I offered, because of the e-courses that I created, because thankful to my private clients that signed up for lessons in my garden with me, and then all of the different pieces of textile art that I sold, I started to realize like, wow, I can really do this full time. Okay. So step one is really stepping in to soul purpose, which is actually, some people don't like the word stepping in, right? Because that means that it's something outside of you. It's also remembering. And yesterday, if you watched my YouTube about unity consciousness, I talked a little bit about that. It can be within or without, but we're all one, right? So it's really all the same thing. Okay. So the second thing that started to happen for me was in 2020, something I began to shift again, right? So I don't know if you realize, but oftentimes we're on like these 7-year cycles. So this is like a little bit before the 7-year cycle, but I started to feel something shifting for me again. And turns out I've worked with 2 different incredible astrologers, one of whom, Monica, is in this group. And she clarified for me a little bit last year, something in my astrological chart started to shift. And I started to really explore the relationship between art and healing. And I started to realize that a lot of the workshops that I offered and a lot of the courses that I was offering at the time was really on this deeper mission to heal the earth, the planet, the people taking my workshops and enjoying my services. I was really on this deeper like healing mission. Okay. And that was kind of always the vibe of my art classes when I taught art. It was never really about the product or the end piece that was created. It was a lot more about, and I still teach art, by the way, privates, if you ever want to take a Creativity Unleashed session with me, but it's all about accessing creativity and awakening creativity, and also that remembering of who we are. So it's almost like peeling off the different layers. So again, following, right, when things start to shift, or if you're going through a life transformation, like many of my clients are, when you start to shift into your next step. So following that passion, what you're passionate about is always revealing to you your purpose. It's always a part of it, and it's always there. So now I'm in the midst of this energetic shift that started about 2 years ago, back in 2021. And it has to do with a certain planet that's basically returning in my chart. And I'm asking myself the question, this is a question that you can ask yourself, but how do you find the renewed purpose, and what should that next step be? So just thinking about what little shifts are you making and what is that next step? So the next piece that I want to talk about is the present moment. And the present moment is where we create from. So we can't create from the past. If I think about back in 2014, I'm not creating now from that moment, but things I created back then might be manifesting now, right? And that's the fun thing about manifesting, is there's not necessarily a fixed time to our manifestations. Right now, if we get super aligned, we're really in our soul purpose, we might see things starting to come through really, really fast. And that happens to me. Like, I'll think something and then boom, it will appear. Right. So what I'm suggesting is that you focus on, you put your attention on the present moment. So back to the original question, how can you become known for what it is that you do right now, is really anchored in and grounded into the present moment. What are you passionate about? And, what would you like to do next? And this is what we talk about a lot in the soul coaching sessions that I do with my private clients. And that's how we're always creating from this place of alignment. Okay. So the third part that I want to talk about is how content and the content that you create in like this live training that I'm sharing here on YouTube and in my Facebook group, how the content that you create really helps you to do that. And one of the ways that it helps you to do that is it helps you to realign. It helps you to realign, and it helps you to get clarity with what you're calling in and what you're creating next. Another thing that it helps with is with being seen. So like, if you're not like consistently sharing or sharing specific kinds of content, then it's quite possible that people won't know about what you're doing, or you won't be seen. One place that I love to share, and that I started sharing when I started creating a lot of content and booking a lot of workshops and making a lot of sales, is I shared over on Instagram. And I didn't learn all of the different organic strategies for Facebook until I joined like a membership program probably back in 2019. And then I joined 2 organic marketing masterminds and even a course creation program. So I learned from a lot of different marketing experts how to show up and how to really be seen online. But before I had even invested in all of that different stuff, I was just naturally showing up and being super authentic about what it was that I was passionate about. And so just remembering that, remembering who you are, and kind of weaving it into your content will help you show up in this really authentic way and help you show up from a place of soul purpose and alignment. So just to recap, one of the first things that I would do is I would take things from the world of thought, and I always think of my crown chakra because it's really open and I get a lot of downloads throughout the day. And I have a special method that I teach to do that. But the first thing that I would do is I would take things from the world of thought, which is basically the intangible, the spiritual, and then I would put it into the practical. I would actually put it into the tangible reality. And by showing up and taking action, this is one step toward manifesting. Now, I have seen a lot of manifestations come through without taking action, and that might sound a little bit contradictory, but I'm certainly not suggesting that you try to manifest from ego or from like forcing things, but I am suggesting that when you take action, and you can go back and watch my video on co-creating with the universe, you start to respond and create based on your inspirations, your passion, and then of course, aligned with your soul purpose. So I hope that you have gotten a lot of value out of this. I'm going to look and see if anybody's been, oh, yay. Hey, Ruthie, so nice to see you. I wanted to see who's chatting in the group. And basically tomorrow, Thursday, I'm teaching an organic marketing content creation workshop to teach some different like organic strategies, how you can effortlessly share in a way that does not feel like selling. It has much more to do with sharing from a soul purpose, how to show up live And if the lives are like something that you don't really love, and I'm going to be honest, I didn't really like doing lives. I would do them on Instagram. I would get tons of engagement over there. Especially when I was like live dyeing or live painting, people seem to really love that over there. So you can have fun with it. How to sell with your posts on social media, and how to just share more about what you're doing. And that is a really important part of making things tangible, and also making things available to people in a really authentic way so that you can get paid for actual things that you're creating. So money and payment are like physical manifestations of these conceptual things, how you can create things in the actual practical world and get paid for like your offerings, your products, or even like your workshops. So this is how we can start to bring in our divine visions and embody. And the word embodiment actually means the representation or expression of something in the tangible or visible form. So if you're an artist, you probably likely relate to this, because artists are taking ideas and, a painter is making that idea tangible and visible, right? Or if you're a course creator, or if you've created this incredible offer, then you've taken this idea and you're going to start hosting a group, and you're going to start making it something a little more concrete and a little more tangible. And this is also related to the art of dreaming and the art of imagining, and the very way that we dream things up. So if you have been hiding in your content, or inconsistent in your content, and this used to happen to me, it actually happened to me for like almost 6 months of one of the masterminds that I was in, because there was something out of alignment. And so I wasn't feeling excited to show up, and I wasn't feeling excited to share. And it actually made me like never show up. And so sometimes it's an alignment issue. If you're not really wanting to show up and share content, or share your work, it could be because something's out of alignment. We'll have an opportunity to explore that a little bit more deeply in the content workshop, the DREAMY content workshop on Thursday. And if you haven't signed up for that yet, it is still at the early bird price. I need to put it up to the regular price. I'm probably going to do so later on today. So don't hesitate, hop on this if you're planning on joining us. And thanks so much for watching this training. Please let me know what your biggest takeaway was. And I'm excited to share with you how discovering what content to post has been a game changer in my business, and how it's actually helped me to create a 6-figure business that I know will be around for many years to come. So thanks again, and I'll see you in the next live training.